On this occasion, it is an absolute honor for me to introduce our chief guest of the day, a man of versatile quality. Professor G.D. Sharma sir is very simple, sober, and sportive nature. In fact, it is difficult to define his persona in just few simple words, as he is an institution in himself, and this divine presence make a big difference of people around him. Really, I extend a heartiest welcome to you, sir, for gracing us with your presence. I would like to say a few accomplishment of our worthy guest, sir. Was chairman of Department of Yoga Study, HP University Simla, head of the Department of Yogic Science, registrar and dean of University of Patanjali Hardwar, senior yoga advisor and chairperson, Yogananda Research Chair, university which is situated in Solan. Presently, he is adjunct professor in the Department of Yoga Science, University of Mangaluru, Karnataka. He is also holding the chair of the committee constituted by NCT to frame and formulate 4-year B.Ed degree course in yoga. He is also member of so many committees, and there is a huge list. He published so many books, supervised the research scholars, etc., etc. Indeed, an honor that an scholar with, or I should say, a supervisor, a guide, a educator, such vast experience and with us today on the occasion of National Conference. Once again, I welcome all the dignitaries as well as the participants who are sitting here and grace the occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your very kind words and introducing us to our worthy chief guest, Professor G.D. Sharma. Taking this prodigious day ahead, it is my proud privilege to introduce with you all our very first speaker of the day, Dr. Girish Jha, Yogacharya from US, who has joined us virtually. I would like to briefly share about Dr. Jha, a world-class coach, speaker, mentor, and writer who has studied yoga teacher training from Swami Dhirendra Brahmachari ji. He is the director and professor, applied mindfulness and wellness from Eastern Wisdom at Girish Jha LLC. Having more than 43 years of teaching experience to his credit, he has mentored and trained diplomats, technocrats, executives, engineers, doctors across the world, including IT professionals in different companies like IBM, Microsoft, etc. An accomplished scholar par excellence, he has coached more than 120 prisoners and substance abuse youth to become free from drugs under United Nations Drug Prevention Program and contributed to the well-being of the individuals as well as society. His contributions towards propagating and disseminating the knowledge of yoga are immense. And it is an honor for us that today he has given us his valuable time and will be sharing his wisdom with us. Now, without coming further between the audience and Dr. Jha, our distinguished speaker, I would like to request Dr. Jha to begin his session and share his valuable views on the topic related to the theme. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for your kind words. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much for inviting me, Dr. Mahendra Singh, Patton and the Director, Dr. Anupama Kaushal, Sergey Koliji, and my beloved friend and professor and chief guest of this program, Dr. G.D. Sharma ji, Dr. Satyaprakash Pathak ji, and Dr. Bharat Singh. It is a great honor for me to talk to this august audience, and I will just present my small views. I believe that within 15 or 20 minutes, I will speak on the very theme, yoga, a graceful journey ahead, or graceful inward journey. So we have the three words, the grace, inward, and the journey. So I think it is better to justify these three words first. Grace. Grace is the kripa. It is the concept of the divine grace in our Sanatan Dharma or in Vedanta or in Eastern wisdom, including the yoga. So this word, grace or kripa, categorized in various ways. Sometimes we say Ishwar kripa, Hari kripa, Guru kripa, Shastra kripa. And lastly, the Atma kripa. My master in the Himalayas, Swami Lakshman Das Avadhutji, used to say that first there is a Shastra kripa, because you study these texts and you get the wisdom, but you don't understand. So then there is a Guru kripa. And at last you have Atma kripa. Atma kripa results into self-knowledge or self-realization. Another way to look at this grace, when we say the graceful journey inward, grace can be understood as the divine assistance, inner wisdom, unseen force that guides and supports we seekers along the path of the self-discovery. Grace is also associated with a sense of beauty, especially in a couple of the Upanishads that I studied, sense of beauty, elegance, and effortless flow. It implies a level of harmony, smoothness, and refinement in our actions. Maybe, we always talk about the physical practices of yoga, asanas. No, do it smoothly, gracefully. So there also the word grace is also used. But I have an understanding that grace is often regarded as a gift or a blessing that comes from the higher source. Long back in 82, 83, I used to visit Rishikesh, and there I met my Guru Swami Lakshman Das Avadhutji, and he graced the wisdom of the Upanishads, and I learnt under him for 26 years. Grace is also closely related to the concept of surrender. Ashtavakra Gita says, Naham tada moksho, tadaham tada bandhanam. Where there is an ego, there is bondage. And where there is no ego, there is freedom. So grace is also. Now come to the second word, the journey inward. Let me take both the words together. Journey inward. That is the most important word, or inward journey. Entire yoga is a journey inward. So what is the journey outside? So journey outside, it is into the world. So what is the journey inside? It is the journey to find our real self, our real nature. Real self is of the nature of peace, permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. So what it demands for the inward journey? First thing that it demands is self-awareness. If I am not aware, then the inward journey cannot take place. Another aspect of the inward journey is the introspection, examining my inner experiences, motivations, and working of the mind. Inward journey also demands viveka. If there is no viveka, then I do not know whether it is an inward journey or outward journey. Meditation practice, pratyahara. But how this inward journey takes place, that is the entire journey of yoga, and especially the Yoga Sutra in the first chapter. Why the mind is scattered outside? That is its nature, that is the animal nature. My sense organs are one-sided windows. They open to the world outside, and the mind goes out. Mind picks up the objects, and then it starts deriving the pleasure in the objects of the world and the people and the relationship. I'm not going deeper. Let me refer Amrit Bindu Upanishad, which says now, so we are talking about the inward journey. Grace, I have already explained. The inward journey, Amrit Bindu Upanishad, the first verse says, Manohi Devidham Proktam Ashuddham cha Shuddham eva cha Ashuddham Kama Sankalpam Shuddham Kama Vivarjitam. Literal translation, mind is of two types, impure and pure. So this Upanishad says that mind is of two types. This Rishi has a very unique classification. So what is the impure mind? Ashuddham Kama Sankalpam. The impure mind means that is mind that is scattered outside. It has made its journey outside in the world of people, relationship, objects. Why? Because it is seeking pleasure outside. But is there any pleasure outside in the objects of the world? The answer is big no. And that is why you rightly, whosoever has suggested this title, I love this title. So because the mind is scattered outside seeking pleasure and finds the pain and the suffering, so the yoga says make an inward journey. And what is the way to make the inward journey? Pure mind. Shuddham Kama Vivarjitam. So impure mind is subjected by the desire and the sankalpa, kama and the sankalpa. And pure mind is free from it. But if the pure mind, if there is no pure mind, then what happens? Manev manushyanam karanam bandha moksho bandhai vishaya saktam nirvishayam muktai smratam. It is because of the impure mind, it causes the attachment. So mind, it said mind is the cause of the bondage. When it is attached to the world outside, means outward journey. And when the mind makes an inward journey, it reaches through the freedom. In that context, we have to study the Yoga Sutra. And first 5 sutra makes it very clear, the entire journey of yoga. Atha Yoga Anushashanam. So if I refer Vyasa and Vachaspati Mishra, who commented on the Yoga Sutra. So the Ath word means auspiciousness plus A seeker, a person has already become a seeker who knows the goal of yoga. What is the goal of yoga? To bring an end to the suffering, one goal, and to awaken to the real self, or the self-knowledge and the self-realization. And now, whatever I have just spoken about the mind outward or the inward journey, that is the second sutra, Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. Why? Yoga is the cessation. Yoga is the, normally we translate as a yoga is the control, restraint of the modifications of the mind. But here, my master used to define this sutra, Swami Lakshmandas Avadhutji, yoga is emptying the mind of its content. So when you empty the mind of its content, it does not demand it, it does not give you any idea of a suppression or control. So you have to gracefully, by understanding, by introspection, by the process of discernment, you empty the mind of its content. So the impurity is gone. I'm relating it to the shloka of the Amrit Bindu Upanishad. So impurity is gone. I remember again the teaching of my master Avadhutji, who used to say, do you see the mirror? Yes. And there is a dust on the mirror. Yes. That dust on the mirror is the impurity of the mirror. Does anything happen to the mirror? Nothing happens to the mirror. When you remove the dust, nothing happens to the mirror. So that impurities of the mind is caused by attachment and the delusion, seeking pleasure from the world outside, from the people, relations, objects, possessions, etc. So we have to just scratch it out. Nothing happens to the mind. So now understand Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is emptying the mind of its content. So now this mind becomes like a transparent mirror. Clear. So when you stand before the mirror, what happens? Do you see into the mirror or do you see yourself? We see ourselves. When you look into the mirror, actually you are looking at yourself. And when the mind is pure, when you look at yourself, that is the third sutra, Tada Drashtu Swarupe Avasthanam. What happens? Then I realize my real nature. Normal translations, the seer abides in its own nature. So I make it in a simple language. I realize my real nature, real self. And what is the real self? Real self is of the nature of permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. And that is what is known as the awakening. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. And the fourth sutra. I'm just making a simple reference. It takes a long time to explain, but I make it very systematic to make a brief presentation. Vrati sarupyam itaratraha. So when the mind is not empty, when it is not acting like a transparent mirror, when my real self is not reflected in the mind, then what happens? Then the mind is jumping here and there. And that is the outward journey. To make you understand clearly, in a very simple way, you are standing outside your home and there is a storm in the rain. What do? You rush inside your home. You open the door, rush inside, close the door, you sit in your living room. Do you invite calmness, or calmness is already there? Do you invite peace? No, peace is already there. and outside there is a storm. So that outside journey of the mind creates a storm of the stress and the suffering, duality, and a conflict. And you rightly pointed out, you rightly wrote the topic, the theme of this conference, the graceful inward journey. So what happens? You have closed the door, the storm, the rain does not enter inside, and you are sitting in a living room. So you are, when you're in deep meditation, you sit in that living room of your real self, which is of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. That is the journey. Now what happens, I would put something that we try to empty the mind. Many people spend hours and days and weeks and years together to meditate and they don't succeed. There the grace of the Lord is also required. What is that grace? And that grace that I have to crush this ego. When there is no ego, there is a grace. So it means I have to discern and introspect. I have to keep aside my ego. Then only we succeed in meditation. In Vedanta, we say when you keep aside your ego, the grace is always available. That is how I try to prove your theme of today's conference. We don't want to go beyond that. So if you study the fifth sutra of the first chapter, Vritayah Panchatayah Klishta Klishtaha. So there are five groups of thought process, just to make it understand in a simple. 5 groups of the thoughts. Panchatayah klishta or klishta. So either they are painful or they are non-painful. You are sitting on a chair now. Are you? Yes. Am I comfortable? Yes, it's a non-painful. Do you have some hatred or anxiety in your mind? That is painful. So there is a further classifications, and that is how the first chapter of the Patanjali explains each and everything about the mind. Why I brought up the last point, why I brought up the Viveka. In the first chapter it says, Viveka Khyatir Viplava Hanupaya. The best method to empty the mind, Vivek Khyatir, Viplava Hanupaya. Hanupaya means the method. So Vivek Khyati, when in my mind that Viveka is settled or established by regular practice, introspection, I succeed in meditation, am absorbed into meditation, and which results into the reflection of the real self. Thank you again for inviting me to this conference. I am grateful to Dr. Mahendra Sharma and all of your team for conducting a successful seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jha, for sharing with us your extensive knowledge on the theme of the conference in such a short span of time. I have no words to describe how beautifully you have explained each word that constitutes the theme of today's conference, that is Yoga, a graceful journey inward. Very aptly, you said that grace is associated